So today we're talking about this movie on Netflix called 7.5 Dates. Quick synopsis. Basically, it's about this, young lady called Bisola who is hardworking. She's an entrepreneur. She's really into her work, but she hasn't found love yet. And then basically her dad is like, hey, I want to see you find love. I want to see you be happy. I will set you up on 10 dates and just go on the 10 dates for my sake. And then maybe, you meet somebody nice and you never know what could happen, stuff like that. Now, there's this thing that's been happening where we see a lot of Nollywood films be influenced by typical American archetypes and meta-narratives that we see in, the Hollywood industry. Is that necessarily critique? I wouldn't really say so. Like, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just kind of fact. It's what it is. Hollywood is a very influential movie industry. So yeah, they have a lot of influence on the other movie industries around the world. Like the same way American music has a lot of influence on artists everywhere, right? If I'm a director and I grow up watching, Hollywood, it makes sense. It stands to reason that it would speak to and influence my work a little bit. So that's not necessarily some sort of critique. I just wanted to point that out because this storyline obviously is a very North American. It's one that you've seen portrayed in a lot of North American movies, stuff like that. But anyway, I was watching this movie with my friends and they were like, this movie is not that great. And I was like, hold on, I mean, maybe, yeah, but I feel like this movie has layers. I feel like it's got layers. And partly, I think, to prove my point, I'm here making this video. And funny enough, I asked my friends, I was like, okay, so if your dad, offered to do the same thing that Bisola's dad is doing for her, if your dad offered to set you up on 10 dates, with young men that he knows and then just see what happens, would you do it? And they both very quickly said, God forbid, Batin. I don't know that a lot of people would say yes. But moving on. So Bisola didn't make it on all 10 dates. She ended up only going on 7.5 dates, right? And one thing that I found that I really liked about the movie was the fact that they used, those 7 dates to really just take you through different kinds of archetypes when it comes to men or just dating in general. Of course, the movie spoke to the ghetto that is dating. It also had a lot of layers with regards to the things that are actually out there on the dating market when a person is looking for a spouse. And I'll walk you through the 7 dates so you can see what I mean and we can see what our good sis Bisola was dealing with. So the first day Bisola went on was with this very righteous pastor's son who asked her if she was a virgin and I'm pretty sure also offered her sex within the same breath. He told her that, oh no, we can't drink alcohol because it's not good, we're righteous. And then I think he also told her, but if you go to the corner with me, I can pour more for you and then we can do it. It was very interesting. The next guy Bisola met was the loud one that did not have manners or home training. And funny enough, this is actually something that I've never actually experienced on a date. I've heard people talk about horrible dating experiences, where they've been on a date with someone who just didn't have home training. They just were very mannerless or they were rude to the waiter or stuff like that. But I've actually never had that happen. So shout out to Jesus. Alright, so the third one and possibly my favorite one was the Misogynist. And I'll have that conversation for you because I have a member. So Bisola and this guy are talking and everything, and he's like, yeah, that his mom left his dad when he was around 18 and he's always been ashamed of that. And then Bisola is like, oh, why is that? I mean, maybe she left for a good reason, right? And he's like, no, well, he used to beat her sometimes. He used to hit her head against the wall and grab her by the neck. And then Bisola is like, okay, well then perhaps she left to save herself, her life. And Baba is like, save her life from what? Mere punches to the head? For better or for worse, remember? And then he's like, anyways, she moved on to become successful. She built businesses, traveled around the world. And then Bisola is like, oh wow, that is amazing. Your mom went on to accomplish all these things that a lot of people in her shoes generally wouldn't even dream of. And he's like, no, that she was still a failure. And he says, a woman is defined by her marital status. And no matter what she could have achieved, she was still a failure because she couldn't keep a home. And then Bisola is like, oh, okay, so what you're trying to say is that she's a failure because she didn't choose death. And then this man fully opens his mouth to say that women who die in marriages for love of husband and children are the true martyrs. And when I heard that, I was like, no way, the writers didn't just do that. And then this man goes on to say, he's like, I mean, it's the West that's corrupted our women. And I'm not gonna lie, when he said that, I was like, yes, 1000% yes, the West has corrupted me. Anyway, and he goes on to say, he's like, I need a real woman, a Proverbs 31 woman. And I think you're the one. And then my good sis Bisola is like, She's like, me? You mean me? She's like, Cool. Proper setting one. Cool. And I'm not gonna lie, one thing I loved about this scene was just the dialogue and the way it was written. It was very tongue-in-cheek. It was hyper sarcastic, but it was also very scary because at the end of the day, we know that there are people generally who just walk around with this kind of mindset, like on a normal good day. Like, we know that there are people who will fully say the things he's saying and 100% mean it, like it's not even a joke. Anyway, so there was the talkative one who just kept talking on, and Bisola couldn't get a word in. There was also the verbally abusive one, you know. So he and Bisola are together, they're just talking and everything, and he gets a phone call, right? And he's like, oh, sorry, just 1 second. And then he goes on the phone, he's insulting whoever he's talking to, he's abusing them and the ancestors, but. And then once he's done on the phone, he's like, hey, okay, so beautiful, where were we? And she's like, from where to where? And then there was the one where Bisola saw the man, she was like, nope. She stood up, she left. And then last but certainly not least, there was the one with Mount Odo. Sis was choking. Bisola couldn't handle it, man. It choked. Anyway, as you would imagine, Bisola along the line becomes friends with this guy. And, you know, they have really good chemistry and they're really great friends. And he came on some of her dates with her, like he would sit in the corner and just watch the disaster unfold. And, you know, the whole time they're like talking, she's like, oh my god, like, why can I find, like, I want to find somebody that's just amazing. Like, why haven't I found someone here? And I'm not gonna lie, this thing annoys me sometimes because I'm like, you are literally standing in front of your perfect match. Can you people please just want to enter each other and let's know and be happy? Like, stop crying that you're looking for your perfect match when they're there. I'll give you head boosts. Anyway, one of the other things that the movie made sure to portray that I loved was the relationship between Bisola and Haddad. I think a lot of the movie was actually centered around that. They have this environment where they're able to communicate wonderfully and honestly about a lot of stuff. And it also reminded me of one of the things that is so friggin' amazing about Nigerian parents is that they are with you till the end. Like, you know, they're not in some other cultures. When you turn 18, please, you're an adult now, your parents will ask you to start paying rent. Like, basically in a lot of ways you're on your own. But Bisola's dad, like a lot of Nigerian parents, stick with you, like, and provide support for you and just mentally, emotionally, financially, whatever it is you need. Basically, they are there for you, whether you're 18, 25, 30, they are present, you know, as much as they can be. They are there and they're hands-on. They don't see you as an adult and thus abandon you. Another big, obvious, and important thing the movie talked about was the pressure that some parents will put on their children to get married, even if the marriage is not even a good one. So in the movie, we see that Bisola's younger sister is engaged to this man. They're planning their wedding and everything, but the man, they beat her, you know. And Bisola finds out, and she's enraged. And she's even more upset when she finds out that her parents not only know about it, but they are encouraging her to marry the man regardless. And so Bisola has this whole fight with her mom about this, and they're talking, right? And she's like, that's so cruel. How can you encourage her to marry this man? And her mom basically explains how, from her perspective, she's trying to protect her daughter from the stress and dangers of not having a husband into society, as opposed to waiting until somebody better comes along, because they never might. It's very messed up, and it's unfortunate that these are things that are real these are very real situations in some families, right? But they did a good job of unpacking that. Oh, one of my last points is I absolutely love the character of Abiodun. She was very funny. I love that woman so much. And then my final and actual last point is simple. It is Shola Shobowale. Like, that's it. I don't have to say anything else. I don't, because that woman, there's nothing she cannot. That woman, her talent is just, she's amazing at she's incredible at what she does, and I love her so much. Anyway, that's all I have to say about this movie. Like I said, it's not like one of those great Nollywood movies out there. So don't go and watch the movie and tell anybody that I hyped it up for you, and you know, you went to watch it and you were a little bit disappointed. That's your business. So, but it wasn't a bad movie, and it had layers that I thought were worth talking about. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and leave a comment for me. Let me know whether or not you would agree to go on a date or dates that your dad set you up on. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next week.